basketball league, all right? And while I was at my basketball league, we got the notification that the Memphis Grizzlies traded Desmond Bane to the Orlando Magic, okay? And knowing how the NBA has been, in recent years with trades and stuff like that, okay, you'd be like, okay, whatever, okay, Desmond Bane gets traded. He was a key player for them, but this type of stuff is gonna happen. But the alarming part of this is the massive amount of return that the Memphis Grizzlies got back for Desmond Bane. And why do I say massive, right? Because when you go back and you look at the Luka Doncic trade, you think about what they got. Okay, what the Lakers got and what Dallas got. And now you sit back and you look at what the Memphis Grizzlies got back for Desmond Bane, and it just makes you think, why was Luka Doncic never publicly put out in the market so that the Dallas Mavericks could potentially have gotten even, double of what the Memphis Grizzlies just got. So the Memphis Grizzlies just got back KCP, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round draft picks, okay? If you don't know what an unprotected first-round draft pick is, it means that the team getting the draft pick is getting a draft pick that they're going to get it regardless. It's unprotected, has no layer of protection. So whether it falls within the first 14 or after the next 14 picks, the team will get the draft pick regardless. So the Memphis Grizzlies just got 4 of those. 4 of those from the Orlando Magic. And they also got a first-round draft pick swap. So in total, they're maneuvering with 5 first-round draft picks from the Orlando Magic. And they got Cole Anthony and they got KCP. Okay? So what is insane about this is that it's Desmond Bane. I'm not trying to put Desmond Bane down. He's a great role player. He's a pretty good defensive player. I'm not going to say he's like a top 10, but he's a very good defensive player. He's a great three-point shooter. And he was the number 2 player, right? We want to say, on the Memphis Grizzlies behind John Morant. But to get 4 first-round draft picks for this guy and a pick swap and 2 players, because KCP is a player that's going to help you on a championship run, and Cole Anthony, and CB15, I get it. I understand that they're going to be towards the end of the round. But it doesn't matter, because when you look at what the Lakers got for Luka Doncic, because this is the only reason why this is news. It's not news because, it's news because it's Desmond Bane being traded to the Magic and the massive overhaul and picks that the Memphis Grizzlies are getting. But this just makes you think, why was Luka Doncic never put out on the market? Why did they not test the market to see what they would have gotten him for, for Luka Doncic? It's just bunkers. I discussed this with my basketball league right now. Like, I came from basketball, and we talked about this. How much more would the Dallas Mavericks have gotten had they put Doncic out in the trade market? If the Magic got 4 unprotected first-round draft picks, the Mavericks would have definitely gotten at least 8 and players. And who knows what other level of exceptions they would have gotten. CB15, you're right, bro. What were the Magic thinking? Again, I feel that, because this goes both ways, I feel that the Magic overpaid for Desmond Bane, right? Because they had a necessity, and it was very clear against the Boston Celtics in the playoffs that they had no depth from three-point land. They couldn't make threes. They just had no way to match up with the Celtics or with a team that shoots a lot of threes. Okay? Happy birthday, Fabian. C15, do you think Dallas only called that? Yeah. I very much, the reason I'm making this live is because I very much agree, and I believe with the whole conspiracy theory of the fact that the NBA wanted Luka on the Mavericks because ratings are going down, and they know that LeBron probably had a year left in the NBA, and they needed to spike ratings. So they only talked to the Lakers. And it's evident when you look at this trade today that they would have gotten a whole they would have gotten a giant ransom for Luka. Okay? Do you buy your car? Yeah, but the video's not about a car, Hillard. Praise Jesus. Okay, Abdulaziz, hi. Okay, God bless you. So look, I really believe that that the Orlando Magic, they wanted to fill a need in terms of three-point shooting, but I think there was players that they could have gotten for a lot cheaper, for a lot less assets. Even my Celtics, I'm a Celtics fan. Sam Hauser is a player that's going to be on the market because they have to come, below the luxury tax or that second apron that they're on. There's a lot of three-point shooting in the NBA that would have came in at a lot cheaper price. So all of this just makes you think, are the Memphis Grizzlies just really good negotiators, and they were able to dupe the Orlando Magic into paying a lot more assets to get Desmond Bane? Why did the Dallas Mavericks, just give away Luka Doncic when they could have received a massive overhaul in terms of draft picks, players, concessions, a whole bunch of stuff, so that they can get a player, so that they could give away a player of his caliber? And another thing that comes to mind is that this just shows you these players in the NBA today, they do not mean anything to the franchises that they're on. They're expendable. They can be traded. They will literally go to the team that can offer you the best possible return. And a lot of this is self-inflicted because the NBA has the luxury tax and all these aprons where you will be heavily taxed, and teams cannot afford to pay these players and to pay a lot of players the salaries that they're worth. And this leads to trades like this, and this leads to making decisions where now you're trying to navigate a luxury tax so that you're not in the repeater bracket, and so that you can construct your team to the best of your ability. But this is wild. This is wild. If you are an NBA fan, if you follow the NBA, if you've seen trades, it is absurd the haul that the Memphis Grizzlies just got back for Desmond Bane. I don't care who you are. If you sit down and analyze this trade, you're talking about KCP, who is the quintessential role player that you want on a championship competing team. Won a championship with the Lakers, won a championship with the Denver Nuggets. He plays his role. He's a hard defender. He opens up the game. He can make the three-point shot. And on top of that, you have Cole Anthony, who is a player that can come off the bench. And he's had insane games where he's scored, 30-plus points. You give up these two players, and aside from that, you get 4 unprotected first-round draft picks. No protection, no layer of protection. Wherever these draft picks fall, the Memphis Grizzlies will get these draft picks in the years that they got them. And this is just insane. This is just insane. And on top of that, they gotta swap for a first round draft pick. So, I really think that the Orlando Magic, being sort of a, one of those bad franchises, they got duped, right? They got duped. I think they overpaid for a player of, Desmond Bane's caliber. He is a player that averages anywhere from 18 to 20 points, but I think that they could have, for the haul that they gave, they could have gotten either more in terms of one or two players, or they could have gotten a better quality player than a player like Desmond Bane. Was it potentially maybe a good match? Was there somebody on the Orlando Magic side that was thinking, oh, you know what? This is the type of player that we could use on our team. But look, four first round draft picks, whether they're unprotected or not, is a lot for a player like Desmond Bane, along with other players. Guys, if you're watching, if you could just like the live, potentially share it, it'll help us out. But this is, it's late breaking. The notification came in about 3 hours ago that Desmond Bane was traded. He was one of the a team favorite with with Ja Morant and the rest of the team. But the Orlando Magic had a clear and definitive hole that they needed to fill, and it was the fact that they needed three-point shooting. I don't think that this is the only move that the Orlando Magic are going to make. I feel like they are a team that is there on the brink of, potentially, very soon knocking at the Eastern Conference Finals. They're a very hard and gritty defensive team, but they were lacking scoring. And and above all, lacking in three-point shooting. So the Orlando Magic heavily filled that hole. I do still think that they probably need, another bench player that can come off the bench and make some three-point shots. Again, it was evident in the series against the Celtics, but they got what they were looking for. Did they overpay? I strongly believe they did. Thanks, guys. Thanks for liking. If you can continue to like the video, the live, and share it, that would really help me out. So did the Orlando Magic fill their hole? Yes, they did. But I believe that it came at the cost of overpaying for a player like Desmond Bane. Again, this is not a knock to him. He's a very good player, sound player. Good in terms of defense for his size. He can shoot the three ball. He has a very decent, mid-range game. But, I just don't think that you're giving 4 first-round draft picks for a player like Desmond Bane. No, I am not in a Peugeot. I'm actually in a Malibu. Thank you. Giving a man his flowers before his funeral. Okay, that sounds pretty cool. So this, I think, kicks off what is going to be a very active offseason. Basim, hi, how you doing? I think that we're going to see a lot of trades. I think that there is a lot that is going to be stopped. We're frozen, waiting for Kevin Durant and what Kevin Durant is going to do. Kevin Durant, there was reports of the teams that Kevin Durant wants to go to, which are the Houston Rockets, the San Antonio Spurs, and the Miami Heat. I don't know. Something tells me that he might end up in the Miami Heat. Yeah, I think he might take like the LeBron path, unless he's very interested in playing with Wembanyama. Hi, Diana. I'm doing good. Thank you for joining. If you can like and share the live, that would really help me out. But yeah, I think that Kevin Durant, from the terms of, like team breakdown and how some of these teams are built, I really think that I see Kevin Durant landing either on the Miami Heat or on the San Antonio Spurs. It may seem very attractive to play with a player like Wembanyama. Oh, guys, happy Father's Day to any fathers that are watching this live. Here in the United States, it's Father's Day. I think it's under poorly celebrated. Some people didn't even know it was Father's Day today, but happy Father's Day to any of you great fathers that are watching this live. If you're a crappy father, then, well, you suck, okay? But Basim says he wants him on Houston. So, it's funny that you mentioned Houston. For me, before the start of the playoffs, I think that the Houston Rockets and the Detroit Pistons, they were two of my sleeper picks to get deep into the playoffs. Detroit showed that they were very young and that they made a lot of mistakes. Too many mistakes, because I don't believe that the New York Knicks had any business beating the Detroit Pistons, but they did. And Houston, I honestly don't believe that they had any business losing to the Golden State Warriors. But Houston showed that they were lacking firepower. For some reason, Jalen Green, I think he only had one good game, and he played horribly. The rest of the team, picked up the slack. Şengün, hell of a player. Loved the way he plays, but that wasn't enough. So I feel if a team like that, with the defensive prowess that they have, pioneered by Thompson and Dylan Brooks and Van Fleet, I think that Kevin Durant could push that team to a serious contender next year. Yeah, Basim, the Pistons were really good, man. They were really good. I am a Boston fan, and I was rooting for the Pistons, not because they were going against the Knicks, but because they're a really good team, and they were bad for too long. Michael B, thank you for watching from Germany. Guys, if you're watching this, just like and share the video, share the live. It would really help me out. I made the live because there was news this morning that Desmond Bane, the guard from the Memphis Grizzlies, was traded to the Orlando Magic in exchange for KCP, Cole Anthony, 4 unprotected first-round draft picks, and a pick swap. And I agree with Damon 33405. Orlando definitely lost that trade. They could have gotten a top 10 or 15 three-point shooting guard or wing at a much cheaper cost. On that team, you already have Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner. They're the obvious number, they're the guys there. So what do they need? They needed support. They don't need another player coming in thinking he's the guy. They needed support players that would come in and fill the role. And I feel that they could have either gotten that in trades with other teams, giving up less, or potentially in the draft. So yeah, I agree with Damon 33405. Orlando Magic lost that trade. Orlando Magic lost that trade today. They gave away the house without any real need of doing so. I get it. They needed three-point shooting. But Desmond Bane, a one singular player, is not going to solve their problem. They needed 1 or 2 additions that can help them with their three-point shooting woes, which was evident in that series against the Boston Celtics. But giving away the house, giving away all the draft picks that they gave was not the solution. And that's why teams that are bad will continuously be bad or have a ceiling because they make decisions like the one that the Orlando Magic made today. So I'm going to try to keep you guys posted and updated on trades that are coming out throughout the offseason. I really think that this should be a very active offseason in terms of trades. I will also keep you guys posted in terms of the NBA Finals. The NBA Finals right now are 2-2. OKC won a pretty gritty game against the Indiana Pacers. I watched that at a bar, and it was a lot of Shea Gilgeous, push-offs and a lot of craziness that went down at the end. I feel like the Indiana Pacers gave up that game, but it's 2-2. And this series is very likely going to go to 7 games. Who you got winning the finals? Well, I believe that if OKC doesn't slow down the game, they just do not have enough to run with the Indiana Pacers. They don't have enough. They don't have enough bench support. They just don't have enough. Indiana's bench outscored all of the benches in these playoffs. And I just don't think that they have the ability to run with them. If they slow down the game and they make this more of a half court game where you're not running out in transition, then OKC has a better chance. But if there's a lot of running, if there's a lot of transition, Indiana's playing some hard defense. If that doesn't change, I really see the Indiana Pacers walking away with this win. Guys, I wanted to report on the trade. I did. Thank you for watching. If you don't follow me, like and subscribe. And I'm going to make sure I keep you guys posted with any new trades and updates from the NBA and sports. And I will keep you updated with the NBA Finals. Thank you for watching Sports Central. I'll see you guys soon.